No topic off limits. Breaking down another current event, no holds barred. The only show where all viewpoints are welcome. And where you can live chat your opinions and comments during the show. You're watching The Attorneys TV Show with your host from the West Coast in Tacoma, Washington, attorney and minister Vicky Curry Jackson from the law office of Vicky C. Jackson. With your host from the Central Region in West Bloomfield, Michigan, attorney and minister Yarina Ricks Johnson from Ricks and Associates. And with your host from the East Coast in Miami, Florida, attorney, minister, and registered nurse Rossi Williams from Rossi Williams Law Group. So save the date and don't miss The Attorneys TV Show, live streaming every Thursday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube and Facebook. Follow The Attorneys TV Show's YouTube channel now so you won't miss one show, and learn more on their website, watchtheattorneys.com. And now, let's join The Attorneys.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome again to The Attorneys TV Show. We are so excited to have you here with us for another exciting show where we are breaking down current events, no holds barred. I am your host for this week, attorney Rossi Williams of Rossi Williams Law Group here in Miami, Florida. And I have with me my co-host over there in West Bloomfield, Michigan, from Ricks and Associates, attorney Yarina Ricks Johnson. Can you greet our viewers on tonight?
Hello to our viewing audience. We're so excited about today's show. Tune in, it's going to be really great.
And we have with us a special guest who I am going to officially introduce a little later. But Miss Joy Grassi, can you at least say hello to our viewing audience tonight?
Of course. Hey, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in. I think this is going to be a really special episode, as always, and I'm very grateful and honored to be here.
And we are so honored to have you. Before we start tackling this topic tonight, I do also want to acknowledge our co-host, attorney Vicky Curry Jackson from Tacoma, Washington. She is out because her husband passed, and we do want to just let her know that we are thinking of her, and we just ask you to keep her in your prayers. Now, viewers, as we begin, I do want to remind you to live chat with us tonight in those comment sections on YouTube and Facebook. Make sure you're giving your opinion tonight. All viewpoints are welcome. Well, unless you've been under a rock, you have seen news coverage on our topic for tonight. We're going to be breaking down the fetal heart rate bill, which was signed into law in the state of Texas and went into effect on September 1st. There are people fighting about this, not only in the U.S., but all over the world. We're going to talk about that tonight. But before we do, I want you to just watch this footage and see what's going on with Texas' new abortion ban.
A bill signed in May by the Texas governor banning abortions past 6 weeks has just gone into effect. Greg Abbott said the law would save lives.
The bill that I'm about to sign that ensures that the life of every unborn child who has a heartbeat will be saved from the ravages of abortion.
Texas's so-called heartbeat bill is one of the country's most restrictive, making no exceptions for cases of rape or incest, only for a medical emergency. And at 6 weeks, many women aren't even aware yet that they're pregnant. Pro-choice groups say that up to 90% of all abortions performed in Texas happen after 6 weeks, making the law a de facto ban on abortion in the state. And the Texas law goes even further, encouraging private citizens to sue those who help a woman get an abortion by rewarding them with $10,000 if they're successful. The ACLU says the law creates a bounty hunting scheme to encourage harassing lawsuits.
Private individuals, including anti-abortion activists with no connection to patients, can now sue anyone who they believe is providing abortion or assisting someone in accessing abortion after 6 weeks. This could include healthcare workers, clergy, rideshare drivers.
Planned Parenthood, the ACLU, and other rights groups launched an emergency appeal with the Supreme Court to stop the law, but the court did not respond. Before now, no other 6-week ban has ever been allowed to go into effect, even briefly. Legal scholars say the law is unconstitutional. Similar bans have been overturned by courts as a violation of Roe v. Wade, the landmark ruling that legalized abortion. But with a new conservative makeup on the Supreme Court, abortion rights are increasingly under pressure.
Attorney Urena, many people are stating, and let me just say, I know that some of you may see Attorney Urena blinking in and out. She is currently in a place where they're having a very bad storm. So if you see that occurring, just know that she's still here with us. But Attorney Urena, many people are saying that this new law enacted in Texas violates the current law of the land, which is Roe v. Wade, which we know was enacted or decided, I should say, by the United States Supreme Court in 1973. And Roe v. Wade arose from Texas. I mean, how ironic is that? But that is why Roe v. Wade made it to the Supreme Court, is that there was a law in the state of Texas which outlawed abortion in any type of situation unless it was to save the life of the mother and it was medically advised. So under Roe v. Wade, the Supreme Court said that law was too overbroad, it was too vague, and it violated the 14th Amendment due process rights of women. Do you, as an attorney, believe that the new law in Texas violates or contravenes Roe v. Wade? And if so, why?
Absolutely. Just from the last part that you talked about, how the broad reach of the laws in Texas have historically done this. It's been too broad and has overreached their authority. And this is no different in this law that has been passed. As according to Roe v. Wade, these restrictions are not supposed to be enacted. These the restrictions of the 6 weeks that they're trying to ease, almost like they're trying to ease it in and not account for the fact that Roe v. Wade is the law of the land. So I do believe that this law is definitely an overreach. It is playing on the sympathy of the fact of the fetal heart and the detection of the heart at that time. But at this point, that should not matter. The law of the land is the law of the land. Roe v. Wade has not been overturned, and this law is an overreach, and it is unconstitutional.
Well, I would definitely say that as an attorney, I too believe that the law in Texas does contravene Roe v. Wade. But you know what is crazy is this is how you get new laws, right? If we think about it, even back in the times of civil rights laws, there were laws on the books and there were prevailing laws of the land, which would not even allow us to do the kind of things that we as African Americans can do today. And so, of course, the way to get the laws changed is that you challenge the laws or you prescribe something that is in opposition to the law. So I think that in Texas, they knew exactly what they were doing and that the goal is to get Roe v. Wade overturned, as you said. Now, I'd like to turn to our guest here tonight so that we can get a different perspective. We have with us Miss Joy Grassi. Ms. Grassi was in nursing for 15 years, and she's also the owner of DTRT Healthcare Consulting. And so she brings a wealth of knowledge. And finally, but not least, is that she's a woman. And we're talking about tonight this law. And so, Ms. Grassi, again, we welcome you here tonight. I'm so happy to have you. And I'd like to just start off by asking you, as a woman, we're not even going to the healthcare side yet. As a woman, What is your general feeling about this new law in Texas?
Well, I absolutely agree with Urena, and this absolutely goes against Roe versus Wade. I fully support any woman making a decision about her body and her health. And I feel like this ban essentially strips any woman of their basic human rights to do with what they will with their body, their choice. I find that it is very, very concerning that they are essentially offering people, private citizens, money to report or to sue anyone that should want to counsel or assist them in getting this help that they need, including the healthcare workers, which will touch our clergy or even the rideshare drivers, because it just opens up this Pandora's box of people saying, oh, you know, as easy as that, like I can get some money. And we see that on other laws as well, okay? You know, we don't have to get into all those like laws that they have, but I really do feel like this is just opening up a real big can of worms. And, you know, honestly, sometimes it makes me think it's retaliation for like a Me Too movement. So that's really just my thoughts. But yes, I always support a woman's choice, regardless of what it is.
You made so many interesting points in your answer. And all of those things I'm definitely going to touch on. And I was sitting here just trying to contain myself. As you were saying, wait, no, wait, I want to get to that.
Yeah.
But audience, this is why we love having you here with us as well on the Attorneys TV show, because we break down current events, no holds barred. All viewpoints are welcome. You do not have to agree with me. You do not have to agree with Attorney Urena, and you don't have to agree with our special guest, Miss Joy Grassi. But what we do want you to do is make sure you're answering these questions as well by live chatting with us. So type your comments in the comment box and share tonight's show as well. Finally, before I move forward, make sure you follow the Attorneys TV show channel. Subscribe on YouTube. This way you won't miss one show. And even if you cannot tune in live at 7:30 p.m. Eastern on Thursdays, you can always go back and watch the show if you're subscribed to our channel. Now, Ms. Grassi, you brought up something that I do want to move on to next, and that is the fact that the law in Texas contains no exemption or no exception for women who would be victims of rape or incest. That really has a lot of women mad, and not only women, there are a lot of men who are upset about that as well. I do want us to discuss that. And for those of you who watch this show frequently, you do know that Attorney Urena and Attorney Rossi, that being myself, we are ministers as well. But tonight's show is not really focused from the standpoint of whether or not you believe spiritually abortions are right or wrong, because we all have our beliefs on that and we stand firm on those. We're really grappling just with the law itself. And that's what we want you to focus on with us tonight. So, Ms. Grassi, do you believe that women who are pregnant due to rape and or incest should be allowed to have an abortion if they so choose?
1,000,000% yes. I feel like, you know, from what I've already said, clearly I think that it is your body, your choice. What really scares me about this part is that these are two crimes. Texas calls it a felony if you commit incest. And depending on the circumstances, it is a misdemeanor or a felony if you commit rape. If you're telling these, you know, they could be men, women, anybody, right? But that it's, oh yeah, no, well, they can't get abortions. You know, we're talking about children as well here, okay? So you have a 13-year-old girl at home and something's happening to her. These crimes don't go reported. And they may open a door for them to think that they can get away with it because the threats and the embarrassment and the fact that you don't want to come forward and speak about it. So if the whole thing can't go away, of course these women should be able to have an abortion and, you know, their body. I don't even know that children, that's the part that scares me, like a 13 or a 14-year-old in the case of incest. Like, how do you, I just feel like it opens a door for them to feel like the predatory ways can come out even more. And that is just really upsetting to me.
Well, I want to, Attorney Urena, go to Governor Abbott's response regarding this matter. He also was asked about the fact that women who are pregnant as a result of rape or incest have not been exempted under this law. And it was really framed from the standpoint of saying to him, well, you are forcing women who have been raped or who are victims of incest to have the baby. And his response was, well, we're not forcing them because they have 6 weeks to get the abortion under the law. What do you say to that in listening to how Ms. Grassi responded?
Regarding the heartbeat bill, why force a rape or incest victim to carry a pregnancy to term?
It doesn't require that at all because obviously it provides at least 6 weeks for a person to be able to get an abortion. So for one, it doesn't provide that. That said, however, let's make something very clear. Rape is a crime, and Texas will work tirelessly to make sure that we eliminate all rapists from the streets of Texas by aggressively going out and arresting them and prosecuting them and getting them off the streets. So goal number one in the state of Texas is to eliminate rape so that no woman, no person will be a victim of rape. But in addition to that, we do want to make sure that we provide support for those who are victims of rape. And we have organizations that we as a state support, that others support.
What do you say to his response, Attorney Urena?
I still think that he's not really getting the concept of the fact of taking away that choice from that woman or that young lady, that you're really taking that choice away, that they should have that fundamental right to choose whether to have an abortion or not, that you're taking away from them with this new law, whether it's 6 weeks. After 6 weeks, you're not getting to the fundamental right that this woman has to make that choice, or this young lady has to make that choice on whether to have this child or not. You're taking that choice away from her, which is fundamentally wrong. Whether it's a 6 week time frame or after that point, you're taking that choice away from them. And the simple fact that, as we stated before, most women, I know even in my case, I didn't know that I was pregnant at 6 weeks. So you're making them, most of the women that go through rape or incest, it's a traumatic experience, you know, and then for them to have to make that life choice so soon during that time. And then at that time, if they don't make that choice before that time, then it's completely cut off. And then they're forced with having to have that baby. I just think that is a fundamentally wrong thing to do and a wrong choice. And this law is taking away that choice from that young woman to make, or that adult to make in this situation.
Well, and I will weigh in that I do agree that law does come in and it does infringe upon what has been determined by the Supreme Court to be a woman's right to choose. Now, we do know that is not an absolute right. Because, of course, with Roe v. Wade, there are levels to that. Really, the first trimester, if you go read that law, then it's more of the woman's right to choose. The focus is really on the woman. You get into the second trimester, it starts to become a balancing act where you do have the woman's right to choose, but you also, as a state, have the right to begin to look at the potentiality of human life. And that's the way the Supreme Court discussed that law in Roe v. Wade. And then finally, in the final trimester, the state does have the right to regulate the abortion. But I think for me, the issue here is I really like for people to just be forthright about where they stand. So I thought the governor's answer was really just running around the mulberry bush to say, well, they do have it because we gave them the 6 weeks. Just say, no, we didn't want to provide the exemptions. Right. We didn't want to provide the exemptions. And this is the way the law is. And this is what we were trying to do. I just hate when people play with the law like that, because you need to give people fair notice, right? That's a part of any law. People need fair notice of what the law is so that if they violate it, they have fair warning that they're going to violate this about being exempted from this law. And I've heard statements such as, well, you know, it's not the baby's fault if the person is raped or is a victim of incest. Why should the baby have to be the person who suffers here? That's a good reason to not provide exemptions to mothers who are pregnant due to rape or incest. How do you feel, or how do you respond about that? It's not the baby's fault. What would you say to that, Attorney Urena? And then Ms. Grassi, I want to hear from you. Attorney Urena, how would you respond to those people who are saying it's not the baby's fault that the mother was a victim of rape or incest? Why should the baby have to die?
I don't think the issue is whether it's the baby's fault or not. The issue is on whether the woman has that choice in order to make concerning her body. And in this situation, regardless, she has that choice to make on whether to have that baby or not.
Okay. And Ms. Grassi, how do you respond to that?
I would say that, in incest, we keep saying women, right? And we keep saying, and I'm not saying it doesn't apply to both rape and incest, but we're talking about kids that are getting molested and raped by their families. And they don't have that capacity to make a decision. They're scared, right? They maybe never even got taught things that they're supposed to know about when you get ladies' days or about reproduction, and their father probably, or their mother, whoever, like whatever's happening, threatening them. So they don't have the mental capacity to make a decision in 6 weeks, and they probably wish it away if something's going on and they do know. So regardless, they should not, and then these babies have problems a lot of times. If you were raped, like, you know, by all means, why do you have to carry that around with you? And yes, you know, adoption, we could go there, but, you know, but I don't think we need to. It's just a woman's right to choose. But we're talking about kids in some of these instances, and they don't even have an education or educated parents because they're the ones doing it to them to make that choice.
You know, I want to say that you've brought out a very good distinction here when you talk about the fact that most victims of incest are children. With rape, that may not be the demographics. It could be really adult women. But as you said, when you're talking about incest, it's usually a male adult who knows the kid or who is in that household or family who is having sex with, and I really say molesting or raping because the kids are not even at the age of consent, those children. That's a very interesting point, which that law does not appear to take into consideration at all. I now would like to, and I want to say that was a very, very passionate and excellent answer because it did pull the law. I now want to move to standing. This is something else, Ms. Grassi, that you kind of referred to or alluded to in your answer, but we're going to break that down as attorneys to everyone because this part of the law is something I totally do not agree with. I really think it's absurd, if I could just be honest. So a lot of times we've been hearing people use the word standing. Attorney Urena, from a legal perspective, can you just give our viewers a quick layman's explanation of what we mean by standing?
Standing is pretty much the legal right to sue, the right person in court being able to have their day in court and having the ability to get their action heard by the court and adjudicated by the court. So if we are discussing standing, then we're saying that this person has a right to be in court in order to sue for this particular action. So in this situation, the law gives a broad reach for individuals to have standing in order to sue under this law.
And that's one thing that, in follow-up to standing as an attorney, that we see here that's so different from many other laws. Usually your standing or your connection to an action or injury cannot be so remote that you really have no connection at all. If so, generally you have no standing to sue because you have no true connection to the issue, or there was no true injury or harm to you. But here in Texas, we see that's not the case. I can be riding down the road and I can see Miss Grassi in the car, and she drives up to a store next to the abortion clinic, and I see a kid get out, and I can go file a suit against Miss Grassi because I believed that she was taking that kid over to the abortion clinic. I don't know Miss Grassi. I don't know the kid. I had to just jot down her tag number, I guess, or took a picture of it with my cell phone.
Massachusetts.
So I know who to sue. But I'm coming in, and I have the right somehow to say that that harmed me, to the point where I can demand money from Miss Grassi and hold her financially accountable. I want us to watch some footage here in regard to standing.
And the Texas law goes even further, encouraging private citizens to sue those who help a woman get an abortion by rewarding them with $10,000 if they're successful. The ACLU says the law creates a bounty hunting scheme to encourage harassing lawsuits.
Private individuals, including anti-abortion activists with no connection to patients, can now sue anyone who they believe is providing abortion or assisting someone in accessing abortion after 6 weeks. This could include healthcare workers, clergy, rideshare drivers.
All right, so there you have it. In Texas, sue at will. Now, Miss Grassi, you own a healthcare consulting company. You know that there are healthcare providers all over the place. How do you feel, or do you feel, that this standing that anyone could have would have any impact on healthcare providers or the consulting that you offer?
That is one area where we have a much bigger problem with healthcare, but if I can explain, anybody that is here working at a Planned Parenthood, that's their passion project, right? Like not, what they stand for, women's rights and like helping women. And we've seen many incidences over the years at many other clinics where like violence happens. They are going to fight, they're going to stay, and they will ultimately not leave. Then we've got travelers and perm nurses coming in, right? Now the travelers are coming in because the money is here. And I'm not speaking for all travelers, and I'm not speaking for all nurses, and I'm not saying it's all about money. I'm saying that they can come in, do their job, and they can leave without getting involved in the politics of things, right? Then we have the perm nurses, which, if they've lived here their whole life, then they're not really just going to pick up and go, and truthfully might be conservative, very conservative, and agree with this law. I don't know that for a fact. Where I see it maybe taking a little bit of a hit is with physicians, mid-levels, and nurses that work in women's health to relocate here, knowing that what we've seen happen at Planned Parenthoods over the years, or what the violence that could ensue. So why would they come to a state where they can't provide the care they want to their patients and also take a risk when they can do it elsewhere? But we'll also have some warriors and some savages and some fighters out there too. So, it's a really hard call. I don't think in general it will make too much of a difference because of the fact that they're fighters here out you know, in the Planned Parenthood already, any other women's clinic, but in travel nursing, I don't think it will affect, but maybe I wouldn't want to move to Texas, even like it's just for a short stay.
Thank you. And I want to talk about now, just kind of springboard from what you were just talking about, the attacks that happen and maybe people not wanting to come work here. So we did see that there were some opponents of this law who challenged this law by emergency application up to the United States Supreme Court. And they
Supreme Court decision causing more divide across the country.
Everyone deserves to have the ability to decide if and when to carry a child.
A late night 5-4 vote allows the country's most restrictive abortion law to stand in Texas. Justices denying the request to block the law, saying abortion providers fail to make their case that the court should step in. The law forbids abortions after cardiac activity is detected, typically at 6 weeks, and allows citizens to sue anyone who assisted someone to get an abortion after that time. President Biden vowing to challenge the law with powerful federal resources, saying it unleashes unconstitutional chaos. Meanwhile, defenders of the law call it incredible progress. Florida and South Dakota already making moves toward adopting their own.
Attorney Urena, do you believe that the Supreme Court got it right here when they said, no, we're not going to block this law? And it was a very, very close call, a close decision. Do you believe that they got it right?
No, I don't. I think that they should have took a more active role in, because this is, as we've stated before, it's kind of opening Pandora's box to these challenges. And if we want to keep Roe versus Wade upheld, then the Supreme Court has to make pretty clear guidelines and pretty clear things where they start to address the issues that have started to creep in concerning abortion. And if they don't do that and they leave things open, then it's going to leave open to more challenges through the law, which is what Texas is doing. And without giving them clear direction on what they can and cannot do, it's just opening it up for more of a slippery slope to easing more things in that are still unconstitutional and against this law. So I do believe that they need to take a firmer stand. I do not think that they did the right choice in not really addressing the law itself, in their opinion.
This is an attack on women. It's an attack on their daughters. I mean, I don't have children, but this is something that's coming from a political arena. And yeah, like I try to certain things when I vote, and I would never vote for anyone that would ever do this to women. It's almost like, oh, well, you know, people, they're saying now like women make up rape all the time. Okay. So, but children don't lie. They're truthful to a fault. Okay. But they're never given the chance to speak and they can't vote. So it really outrages me that people can't just do the right thing. It always has to be an agenda. And we are on that slippery slope. Look at healthcare and everything else going on around it. It's all about, you know, and then it's not that we get treated that great anyway. So take something else from us, I guess, but they won't. I don't think it'll pass fully. And I wish Ruth was here.
You know, I've enjoyed it. We're definitely going to have you back on some other topics. This is the Attorneys TV show, and every Thursday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, we break down a new current event, no holds barred. There are no topics off limits. We invite you to chat, and all viewpoints are welcome here. I'd like for you to tell the people how they can get in touch with you. You are the owner of DTRT Consulting. Joy Grassi, you have been such a wonderful guest on tonight's show.
Thank you.
You are welcome. We will definitely have you back again to discuss some other things. I'm sure you loved our viewers, so show her some love in the comments section. Ms. Grassi, you are the owner of DTRT Healthcare Consulting. If our viewers wanted to contact you, please tell them how they can reach you.
Okay, I can be reached at my phone number. It is DTRT Care Consulting and Advocacy, because we not only consult, we advocate pro bono. The phone number is 978-835-6203. here for anyone. And the website is DTRT Healthcare Consulting and Advocacy.com.
All right, give them that phone number one more time, please.
978-835-6203. We all the advocate phone numbers, but I'm, that's the main one.
Excellent. Now, listen, viewers, we're about to close out. We always close out this show with a very, very brief inspirational prayer because there's so much going on in the world. And when you leave here, we want you to leave here encouraged because we respectfully disagree. We throw down. We do whatever we're going to do, right? Everybody stands firm in his or her opinion, depending on who the guests are. But at the end, we're still all human beings, and we still all want to be encouraged. Let us pray. Lord, we come tonight and we thank you for this awesome show. We thank you, God, for our wonderful guest, Miss Joy Grassi. And Lord, we thank you for all of our viewers. This, God, has been a very controversial topic on tonight. We have viewers, Lord, who may have had an abortion or who are thinking about an abortion or who have been victims of rape or incest. We have people who support the law as well as people who oppose the law. But no matter what their status may be, we ask that you encourage them tonight. We ask that you bless them and that you meet their needs. We ask that you love on them and that you validate the worth of their humanity and let them know that no matter what comes, they're never alone. You're right there with them. You made them and you love them. In your name, we say thank you. Amen.
Amen.
Everyone, we will see you next Thursday night. We'll be breaking down another exciting topic. Attorney Urena Ricks Johnson will be our host next week, and we have some more guests coming on as well. So have a wonderful night. Share this show. Follow the Attorneys TV show on YouTube, and make sure you share so everyone can see this wonderful guest we had on here tonight. This is the Attorneys TV show. I'm Attorney Rossi in Miami. I tell you good night. Attorney Urena in West Bloomfield, Michigan. Can you tell our viewers good night?
Good night, everyone.
And then Miss Joy Grassi, owner of DTRT Healthcare Consulting. Please tell everyone good night.
Good night. Thank you so much for having me.
We'll see you next Thursday.
You just watched another exciting broadcast of the Attorneys TV show. From the West Coast in Tacoma, Washington, attorney and minister Vicky C. Jackson from the law office of Vicky Curry Jackson. From the Central Region in West Bloomfield, Michigan, attorney and minister Urena Ricks Johnson from Ricks and Associates. And from the East Coast in Miami, Florida, attorney, minister, and registered nurse Rossi Williams from Rossi Williams Law Group. So save the date and follow now so you won't miss one broadcast of the Attorneys TV show, live streaming every Thursday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Attorneys TV show channel on YouTube and Facebook. Learn more on their website, watchtheattorneys.com. See you Thursday, the Attorneys TV show. Don't miss it.